How to get better every single day. There was a time when I thought effort alone was enough. That if I simply wanted it badly, if I filled my walls with quotes and my days with plans, life would somehow fall into place. But I was wrong. Not because effort is useless, but because directionless effort is like rowing in circles, tiring, noble even, but going nowhere. I remember mornings where I woke up with the best intentions, only to find myself drifting by noon. Not because I was weak, but because I was still waiting. Waiting for the perfect mood, for clarity, for the storm of doubt to pass. But the truth that finally shook me was this: if I do not get better today, then nothing gets better tomorrow. And no one is coming to save me from that. You know this too, do you not? You have had days where you promised yourself change, only to feel that same weight creep back in by nightfall. Days where your to-do list became a monument to all that could have been. But let me tell you something, with all the conviction I have, you are not broken. You are just caught in a world that teaches you to wait for a sign. It tells you to prepare more, think harder, get everything aligned before you begin. And while you wait, life keeps moving without you. But there is another way. There is a way out of the fog, the fatigue, the quiet shame of unfulfilled potential. And it starts not with some grand gesture, but with the smallest act of showing up. Showing up when it is uncomfortable. Showing up when no one claps. Showing up when you feel like hiding. This is not a book of motivation. It is a book of movement. And in these pages, you will not find soft words to soothe your delay. You will find the truth as I have lived it, the clarity I clawed for, and the mindset that saved me from my own excuses. You will walk with me through the disciplines that build real identity. Through the quiet battles no one sees, the ones that shape your future more than any applause ever will. This is not for those who want hype. It is for those who are tired of waiting to feel ready. It is for those who are ready to move anyway. The core philosophy of this book is brutally simple: better is earned daily. Not earned someday. Not when your circumstances align. Better is earned in silence, in small steps, in the kind of effort that has no audience. It is not about being extraordinary, it is about being consistent. When you act with consistency, the world changes around you. Not because the world shifts, but because you do. And that shift, that sacred, invisible shift, is where all transformation begins. You do not need more motivation. You need to remember who you said you wanted to become. You do not need a new plan. You need to honor the old promises you made to yourself. Because progress is not about addition. It is about subtraction. Subtracting distractions. Subtracting lies. Subtracting the old identity that no longer fits the person you are trying to become. And here's what you must believe with all your heart: you are not stuck because of fate. You are not stuck because you lack discipline. You are stuck because you have not yet taken ownership of your actions in the moments that matter most. The seconds where your mind says just this once, skip it. The minutes where you let the phone win, where you let the fog win, where you let the old story play again. But if you can reclaim just one of those moments, you can begin again. If you can win just one inner argument, you can start a new trajectory. And that is the point of all of this. That you can start again. That your story is not finished. That your habits are not your identity unless you let them be. Every page of this book is a push. Not a gentle reminder, but a daily pressure to rise above your average. And that pressure is not punishment. It is love. Because no one who loves you would tell you to shrink. And no one who loves themselves should tolerate staying the same. You do not have to be perfect to begin. But you do have to begin to change. You do not have to know the whole path. You just need to take one real step today. Then another tomorrow. That is how confidence is built, not through compliments, but through self-minded evidence. You begin to trust yourself not because you read it in a book, but because you saw yourself move when it mattered. So if you are ready, not ready to feel better, but ready to do better, then let us begin. Let us step into a life that is earned. A life that is clear. A life that is strong not because it is easy, but because it is aligned. You are not here to drift. You are not here to wait. You are here to build. And it starts with one thing showing up, not someday, not later, now. Chapter 1. From waiting to moving. There is a lie that sounds like truth when you are tired. It says, wait until you feel ready, and if you listen to it, you will wait your whole life. I believed that lie once. I thought the right time would make the work easier, that when I finally felt aligned and clear, I would move. But the right time never came. What came instead were more days lost, more goals untouched, more mornings where I stared at the ceiling and wondered why I felt stuck. Not because I lacked talent. Not because I lacked vision. But because I kept handing over my power to a feeling I could never catch. The most dangerous thing is not failure. It is delay. Because delay wears the costume of preparation. It makes you feel wise. It gives you an excuse to stay still while calling it strategy. But all it does is drain your life, drop by drop. You wait for the schedule to open up. You wait for inspiration to hit. You wait until your mind is clear. But your life is not built in waiting. It is built in motion. And motion does not care how you feel. It does not care if you are motivated. It only listens when you act. People stay stuck not because they are weak, but because they are waiting for perfect energy. They think they need to be on fire to move forward. But here is the truth that sets you free: the fire comes after the action, not before it. That tiredness you feel, that fog, it does not go away by thinking. It disappears when you take a step. When you stop treating your feelings like commands and start treating them like weather. It might be cloudy today, but you can still move. You can still go outside. You can still build. Look at your life. Be honest. How many days have you lost to the illusion of waiting? How many times have you told yourself, just not today, and felt the quiet guilt of it by nightfall? That guilt is not there to shame you. It is there to guide you. It is your spirit telling you, you were made for more than this, and it is right. You are. But you cannot access that more by hiding. You cannot become your best by skipping the hard days. You get better by walking through the fog. By moving with tired legs. By choosing to step forward when every voice in your head says later. The winners of this world are not always the smartest. Not always the fastest. But they are always the most consistent. They show up when it is hard. They work without applause. They build when the mood is absent. And in doing so, they create momentum. Not flashy momentum, but the kind that grows quietly, until one day it becomes identity. They do not say, I need to feel ready. They say, I need to honor my word. That is the shift. That is the foundation. When your actions no longer serve your emotions, but your vision. Here is what I want you to understand: you do not need to wake up feeling unstoppable. You need to wake up and be willing. Willing to take one real step. Willing to sit with discomfort. Willing to move before clarity. Because the steps you take while uncertain will teach you more than all the thinking in the world. Thinking has its place. But when thinking becomes avoidance, it becomes poison. You know this already. You have felt it. You have fought yourself into exhaustion, into over-minus analysis, into spirals that led nowhere. The cure is action. Not reckless action, but honest, simple movement. Start. Do one thing. Then another. Stack small wins. Build momentum. The first step is not always heroic. Sometimes it is making your bed. Sometimes it is turning off your phone. Sometimes it is saying no to the voice that says, it's okay to skip. That voice is not your friend. It wants you comfortable, not fulfilled. And if you listen to it long enough, it becomes your identity. You start to believe you are lazy, that you are broken, that you just do not have it. But none of that is true. You are not lazy. You are just untrained. And training begins with one choice move today, even if it is small, even if it is messy, even if it is late. You do not rise by chasing motivation. You rise by practicing discipline. You build the discipline not in big moments, but in the small, quiet ones. The ones where no one sees you, where no one is clapping, where it would be so easy to quit. But you stay. You act. You hold the line. And slowly you become someone new. Not someone perfect. Someone serious. Someone who does not betray their potential for comfort. Someone who does not wait to be rescued. Someone who does not waste today waiting for tomorrow. It is tempting to think that big change requires big energy. But it does not. It just requires a real beginning. One honest task. One phone call. One workout. One finished thing. Let it be small. Let it be simple. Just let it be done. Because when you finish one thing, you gain power. And power compounds. Confidence compounds. You show yourself, I can do this. And that belief, that quiet proof, becomes your foundation. You no longer need hype. You have evidence. You have action. The world will not hand you a perfect moment, but it will respond to your decision. When you move, life meets you. Doors open. Energy returns. And it feels like magic, but it is not. It is momentum. It is alignment. It is the power of finally doing what you were always meant to do. Move. And when you do that consistently, everything changes. Not overnight, but inevitably. So do not wait. Not for the weekend. Not for the mood. Not for the new month. You have waited long enough. Let today be the line you draw. The day you stop negotiating with delay. The day you take one step without asking permission. You do not need a sign. You do not need another plan. You need motion. And that begins right now. Chapter 2. From excuses to ownership. There is a war happening in your mind each day, and it does not start with a crisis. It starts with a whisper. That whisper says, you can do it later. It says this is not the right moment. It says, one more scroll will not hurt. And that whisper becomes your guide unless you challenge it. You do not lose to failure. You lose to permission you give to delay, to distraction, to the soft lies that sound like kindness but kill your progress slowly. I remember the days I convinced myself that I was tired before I had even tried. That I needed more clarity when I was just afraid. I called it balance, but it was avoidance. I called it self-scare, but it was escape. The truth hurt at first. I was not lacking opportunity. I was lacking follow-through. Not because I was incapable, but because I kept outsourcing responsibility to my feelings. I let my excuses sound reasonable, even noble. But noble excuses still build empty lies. And then one morning I heard a louder truth: no one is coming to clean this up for me. The path I want is not denied to me, it is just hidden behind the work I keep postponing. Every unfinished task is a weight I carry, and over time those weights turned into chains. Chains I forged myself. Not through malice, not through tragedy, but through simple hesitation. And every time I delayed, I whispered a vote for the old version of me, the one who stays stuck, not because he is weak, but because he never truly chose to rise. When you say, "I will deal with it later," what you are really saying is, and that message, even if unspoken, trains your mind. It teaches you the comfort comes first. That urgency is optional. That showing up fully can wait. And if you do that enough times, you start to believe it. Your standards drop. Your edge dulls. Your identity begins to shift not into failure, but into softness. And that softness is seductive. It offers relief now in exchange for regret later. And it is a poor trade every time. But you can reverse it. You can reclaim your power one task at a time. You do not need a fresh start. You need a clear decision. That email you keep avoiding? Answer it. That workout you keep delaying? Begin it. That tough conversation you keep dodging? Have it. That clutter in your room? Clear it. Not because these things are grand, but because they are yours. Yours to handle, to finish, to own. Ownership is not about perfection. It is about presence. Being present enough in your life to say, "This is mine to do, and I will do it now." Every time you finish something you once delayed, you send a new message to your brain. You say, "I act now." You say, "I clean my mess." You say, "I respect my own time." And that message becomes your new identity. That is how momentum starts. Not with fireworks, but with closure. With small wins that close the loop. You do not need a life overhaul. You need a clean desk, a followed minus through plan, a finished promise. Those tiny completions hold more power than any vision board ever will. People talk about discipline like it is a mystery. But discipline is just a pattern. A pattern of honoring what you said, finishing what you started, and refusing to delay what you know is yours to do. Every day you avoid your tasks, you increase the weight of tomorrow. But every day you complete them, you lighten your load. You breathe better. You move faster. You trust yourself more. And trust is not a feeling. It is a record. It is built every time you prove yourself reliable even when no one is watching. You do not have to be perfect with this. You just have to be real. You have to stop pretending that small things do not matter. They do. The small leak sinks the ship. The small mess becomes the reason you procrastinate the big task. The small delay becomes the habit that defines your whole month. Stop calling it just one thing. Start seeing it for what it is, a thread in the fabric of your life. And if enough threads unravel, so will your foundation. But if enough threads are secured, you build strength you can stand on. Take inventory of your life today. Not your goals, your mess, your delays, your unresolved promises. Ask yourself, what am I carrying that I could have finished already? And then go fix it. Not all at once. One by one. With care. With focus. With the seriousness your future deserves. This is not about being busy. It is about being honest. Honest about what you have left open. Honest about what you have avoided. Honest about the quiet stress you feel because of all the things you told yourself you would handle but never did. Ownership is power. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep. It is the power to say, I will not keep breaking my own word. It is the power to walk into your space and bring order. To walk into your schedule and bring clarity. To walk into your mind and say, we are done hiding from this. When you live this way, life does not get easier. You get stronger. Your space gets lighter. Your thoughts get clearer. Your spirit gets steadier. And you finally feel aligned, not because everything is done, but because you are no longer avoiding what you owe yourself. You were not meant to carry clutter forever. You were not meant to live beneath a pile of almost. You were meant to move freely, think clearly, and lead your life with intention. But that life only shows up for people who stop negotiating with their excuses. For people who say, this is my mess, and I will clean it. That kind of clarity is rare. That kind of courage is rare. But it is available to you right now. So take one thing you have been putting off and finish it. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Let that act be your rebellion against delay. Let it be the first link in a new chain, the chain of trust, of movement, of seriousness. You do not need more time. You need less hesitation. You do not need more energy. You need more ownership. The minute you step into that, you start to get better, not in theory, not in your head, but in the real, grounded way that transforms how you live. Chapter 3. From Clutter to Clarity. It does not always take a storm to knock you off your path. Sometimes, it is the quiet messes that do it. The clutter on your desk. The unfinished thoughts in your head. The piles in your room. The unread messages, the plans you scribbled down but never acted on. These things do not scream for attention, but they speak. And over time, they wear on you. Not loudly but constantly. Until your mind feels heavy and your feet feel slow, and you start to forget what it feels like to move with lightness and purpose. I used to think clutter was harmless. That a little mess was just a sign of being busy, of living fully. But I was wrong. Clutter is not harmless. It is a thief. It steals your energy in small pieces. It distracts your focus. It slows down your spirit. Because every time you walk past something undone, you feel a quiet pressure. A weight that says, you still have not handled this. And that weight grows, not just in your home, but in your heart. You know this feeling. You sit down to do one thing, and 10 others shout for your attention. You try to focus, but your mind keeps circling back to what is unfinished. You think it is a lack of motivation. But it is not. It is friction. And most of that friction is self-made. It comes from the messes you tolerate, from the little things you tell yourself you will deal with later. Later becomes next week. Next week becomes never. And soon your life is filled with invisible resistance you created. But here is the powerful truth: what you created, you can clean. And it starts with awareness. Look around. What are the things you have been stepping over? What are the tasks you keep postponing? What are the conversations you keep avoiding? That drawer you never open. That project you never finished. That habit you know is holding you back but you have not addressed yet. These are not just messes. They are mirrors. They show you where you are avoiding responsibility. And if you want to move faster, think clearer, and live stronger, you have to fix them. You do not need to do everything today. But you do need to stop pretending these things do not matter. They do. Because every unresolved mess is a message to your mind: I do not finish things. And that message becomes a belief. And that belief becomes a habit. And that habit becomes your identity. The only way to break that cycle is to clean it. To finish something. Anything. Start small. Pick one thing and bring it to completion. Not halfway. All the way. Close the loop. Clear the space. Give your brain proof that you are someone who follows through. You cannot build a strong future on a messy foundation. You cannot rise to your next level while carrying old weight. You want to grow? Then let go. Let go of the things that no longer serve you. Let go of the digital clutter that distracts you. Let go of the broken systems you keep patching up. Let go of the stories that say, "This is just who I am." No. You are not a person who lives in chaos. You are not someone who walks past their responsibilities. You are someone who cleans, who clears, who restores order where there was confusion. There is peace in a clear space. There is focus in a finished task. There is pride in a resolved responsibility. And that peace, that focus, that pride, they are fuel. They make the next task easier. They create flow. And flow is not magic. It is momentum without interruption. You build it by removing what breaks your rhythm. You protect it by refusing to tolerate what pulls you out of alignment. Look at your life with honest eyes. Where are the loose ends? Where have you let things pile up? Where have you avoided taking full responsibility? You already know where they are. You feel it every day. And you do not need a plan to fix them. You need a decision. Decide to stop living buried under unfinished things. Decide to make room for clarity. Decide that your peace matters more than your comfort. Because cleaning up your life is not just about organization. It is about respect. Respect for your time. Respect for your energy. Respect for your vision. Every time you finish a task, every time you clean a drawer, every time you complete a project, you gain something powerful: belief. Belief that you are capable. Belief that you are serious. Belief that you are not a person who avoids. You are a person who acts. And belief like that cannot be bought. It can only be earned by action, by attention, by care. And care matters. Not just care for others. Care for your own life. Care enough to keep your environment aligned with your values. Do not underestimate the power of small victories. They stack. They strengthen you. They teach your brain to trust your hands. They remind you that progress is not about huge leaps. It is about consistency. It is about follow minus through. It is about being someone who lives in alignment not someday but today. You want more clarity? Then clean your space. You want more momentum? Then fix what is broken. You want more peace? Then stop tolerating chaos. You do not need to become someone else. You just need to become who you already promised yourself you would be. And that begins with the mess in front of you. Finish it. Fix it. Clear it. Let that be your signal to yourself that you are serious. Let that be the foundation on which you build your next level. Not perfection. Just progress. Real, grounded, complete progress. Chapter 4. From Promises to Proof. There is nothing louder than the silence after you break your own word. You said you would do it. You told yourself today was the day. You planned it. Wrote it. Spoke it out loud. And then you let it slide. You told yourself there was still time. You told yourself it was not that important. And maybe no one else noticed. Maybe no one saw. But you did. And that memory, that break stays. It does not vanish. It stays in the corners of your mind, whispering when you are quiet. Whispering that maybe you are not who you thought you were. But you are. You are just not showing it yet. You are not reinforcing it yet. Because belief is not built in your dreams. It is built in your follow minus through. The only proof your mind respects is action. Not intention. Not inspiration. Not even hope. Action. Repeated action. Clear, specific, undeniable proof that what you say is what you do. And until you begin to live that way, your confidence will never rise. Not because you are not capable, but because you are still waiting for results without keeping the contracts you signed with your own soul. You do not need the world to believe in you. But you do need to believe in yourself. And belief is not a feeling. It is the result of evidence. When you say, I will do it, and then you do, it gets stronger. When you say, I will change, and then you follow through, it gets louder. When you stop needing to be pushed and start leading yourself, your life transforms. Not in a flash, but in a quiet build minus up of completed days. Look back for a moment. How many things have you said you would do this year? How many promises have you made to yourself? How many new starts? How many bold declarations? And now, how many of those were followed all the way through? That number is your integrity score. And if it is low, do not hide from it. Own it. Because shame is not your enemy. Denial is. The person who faces their broken promises is the person who is ready to rebuild them. You do not need another goal right now. You need to complete what you already started. You need to go back to the last thing you told yourself mattered and finish it. That is where power returns. That is where dignity lives. That is where you stop being a talker and become a builder. And builders live with peace. Not because everything is easy, but because their actions are aligned with their intentions. They do not carry guilt because they do not carry delay. When you do not follow through, your vision becomes heavy. Even your dreams start to feel fake. Not because they are, but because your actions do not match. And you feel it. You feel it when you say something out loud, but your voice lacks conviction. You feel it when you try to inspire others, but know you have been skipping your own work. That feeling is not weakness. It is the call to return. To get back to doing what you said you would do, not for others, but for the person in the mirror. The smallest promise kept is worth more than the biggest goal postponed. So, stop chasing new highs. Start finishing the old ones. Get back to the gym you said you would show up at. Reopen the project you said mattered. Make the call you keep pushing. Do what you said, not perfectly but completely. Show yourself that you are someone who finishes. That you are someone who keeps their word. Because every time you skip a promise, you make the next one weaker. But every time you honor it, you make the next one stronger. That is how identity is built. Not through excitement, but through consistency. The identity you want is on the other side of your unfinished tasks. Your clarity is behind the clutter. Your peace is behind the pile. Your pride is hiding behind the work you have not touched. The world does not owe you results, but your soul demands evidence. It wants to see that your life is not just a collection of ideas but a proof. Tangible proof that you do not just hope for better. You show up for it. You stay for it. You close the loop, finish the work, honor your word. You do not drift away from the goals you set. You return to them. Again and again until they are done. And listen, finishing does not mean perfection. If you said you would write for an hour but only have 20 minutes, then write with full focus for 20. If you said you would move your body but feel tired, go walk anyway. Give what you can give. But give it. That choice builds strength. That effort builds belief. That follow minus through builds trust. Trust in yourself. Trust that your word is not empty. We live in a world full of declarations on light on completion. Be the exception. Be the one who does not need to announce every intention. Be the one who lets their results speak. Who lets their consistency echo louder than their excitement. Who finishes what they start not because they have to, but because they choose to live with integrity. And when you build a life one of action, of alignment, of truth, you will feel it in your bones. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will sleep deeper. Because nothing brings peace like the quiet confidence of a day where you gave what you promised. Not in theory. Not in thought. But in action. And that kind of day is always within reach. It just requires one thing, that you do what you said. Chapter 5. From motion to meaning. There is a trap more subtle than quitting. It is showing up but not fully. Moving but not with purpose. Doing the task but doing it halfway. And from the outside, it looks like effort. It looks like progress. But inside, you know the truth. You are not tired from the work. You are tired from pretending. Pretending that presence is the same as performance. That showing up is enough, even when you know you left your best untouched. I have lived in that space. I have walked through days where I was busy but not better. Where I ticked the boxes but felt nothing. Where I told myself at least I did something while knowing I gave just enough to avoid guilt, but not enough to build greatness. And those days piled up. Not with failure, but with mediocrity. Not with tragedy, but with silent self-minus betrayal. Until I woke up one day and realized I had been moving, but not becoming. Real effort does not need applause. But it leaves a mark. Not on the world, first on you. You feel it in your chest. That quiet fire of knowing, I gave it everything. That sacred ache in your muscles. That calm exhaustion in your mind. Not from stress. From alignment. From pushing your limits. From honoring your time. And when you live that way, even for one day, you realize what you have been missing. Not success. Not results. Integrity. The integrity of knowing you did not hold back. Most people are not lazy. They are just used to living at 60%. They are used to moving with distraction. They are used to giving what is easy. And in doing so, they build habits that hollow them. Because repetition without intention does not build excellence. It builds resentment. It builds confusion. You start to wonder why you are stuck when you have been so productive, but the truth is, you have not been focused. You have not been intense. You have been going through the motions. And that changes now. Because you are not here to drift. You are not here to survive your tasks. You are here to move with meaning. You are here to build something you can point to and say, that was mine. That was real. You want better results? Then give better energy. You want deeper confidence? Then give deeper focus. You want a life you are proud of? Then stop doing things halfway. Half-minus effort is a lie. It tells you at least I did it, while stealing the pride you could have earned. Start treating every task like it matters. Because it does. Not just the big projects. The small ones too. The workout. The call. The conversation. The practice session. Stop saving your full self for later. Later is a thief. Later is where dreams go to die. Give your full self now to what is in front of you. That is where character is built. In the moments where you could coast but choose to care. In the tasks that feel small but you treat them with honor. There is no greatness without full effort. There is no pride in half-minus-hearted completion. Do it like it matters or do not do it at all. And if you are going to do it fully. Stand in your work. Bring your energy. Push your edge. Let people wonder where you found that kind of doctorate. Let them feel your presence, not because you are loud, but because you are locked in. And here is the beautiful paradox: giving full effort does not drain you. It energizes you. Because when you stop withholding, you stop wrestling with regret. You stop carrying the silent shame of knowing you gave less than you could. And that freedom, that clarity, that flow, that is where excellence lies. That is where peace lives. You do not need more hours. You need more presence. You do not need more strategy. You need more intensity. You do not need more motivation. You need more decision. Decide that you will no longer go through the motions. Decide that if something is worth doing, it is worth doing right. Decide that your life is too valuable to be lived at half-minus speed. You do not have to give your best forever. Just today. Just this task. Just this hour. And then again. That is how momentum builds. That is how power returns. Not through bursts, but through full effort, repeated. And when you live like that long enough, you become someone else. Not someone new. Someone true. Someone who no longer needs motivation, because they live in motion. Someone who no longer needs discipline because it has become their default. So, next time you start something, stop and ask, am I giving everything I have? Everything you expect? And if the answer is no, fix it. Lean in. Push harder. Lock in deeper. Not for anyone else. For you. Because the reward is not the result. The reward is how you feel when the work is done. The reward is knowing you were all in. And that kind of knowing? That is unshakable. That is strength. That is success. That is how you get better every single day. Chapter 6. From Excuses to Execution. There is a moment every day where the battle begins. It is quiet. Invisible. But it is there. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, your mind starts speaking. It tells you that you are tired. That you can do it later. That one day off will not hurt. And if you are not alert, if you are not anchored, you will believe it. Not because it is true, but because it is familiar. Excuses always wear the same face: comfort. And comfort always costs more than you think. I remember mornings where I lost the battle before I even stood up. I would lay there, thinking of what I should do, and talking myself out of all of it. I would call it pacing myself, call it managing my energy, call it being realistic. But deep down, I knew what it was. Delay. Avoidance. Surrender. And the more I gave in, the more I taught myself to give in. Excuses compound. They do not just take one day, they begin to take your identity. You start to believe that this is just how you are now. That motivation is a memory. That discipline is a trait you lack. But it is all a lie. Excuses are not facts. They are habits. They are patterns your brain has learned to follow. And patterns can be broken, but only if you catch them. Only if you start challenging them instead of entertaining them. The moment the excuse appears, that is your cue. Do not negotiate with it. Do not reason with it. Attack it. Replace it. Do something. Anything. Take one step toward the thing you are avoiding. That action alone changes everything. Because once you act, the excuse starts to lose its power. You do not need to win the whole day. You just need to win the moment where the excuse arrives. You just need to break the first chain. Because after that, momentum begins to build. And momentum is a powerful force. It makes the next action easier. It makes resistance weaker. It reminds you that you are not at the mercy of your moods. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are the author. And your life changes the moment you start writing a different script. Think of the last excuse you believed. What did it cost you? Not just the task you skipped, but the trust you lost in yourself. Because that is the real damage. Every time you let an excuse win, you make your own voice harder to trust. You say, I will start tomorrow, and then you do not. And soon those promises mean nothing. Not to others. To you. And once you stop believing yourself, you start shrinking. You stop dreaming. You stop trying. Because why plan something you are not going to follow through on? But the opposite is also true. Every time you act, even when it is hard, even when it is small, you build belief. You teach your mind that you mean what you say. That you can be counted on. That you will not run when it is inconvenient. that you are not just interested in growth, you are committed to it. That kind of belief builds fast, but only if you stop making room for excuses. And here is the thing most people do not understand: the best time to act is almost never when it feels good. In fact, the most important steps are usually the ones you least feel like taking. That is why they matter. Because they teach you that your power does not come from inspiration, it comes from integrity. The kind of integrity that moves even when it is raining. Even when you are sore. Even when you are unsure. You show up. Not because it is easy. Because it is who you are. You want to live without regret? Then stop feeding the voice that keeps you from action. You already know what to do. You are just in the habit of not doing it. That habit ends now. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Now. You do not need a new planner. You do not need another motivational speech. You need motion. Real, grounded, physical movement. One action. Right now. Then another. Let those actions be your rebellion against every excuse that ever stole your time. You were not born to procrastinate. You were reined into it. And now, you train yourself out. One choice at a time. One honest day at a time. You start catching the lies. I will do it later. No, you will do it now. I am tired. No, you aren't trained in effort. I am not ready. No, you are afraid. And fear does not lead anymore. Truth does. Action does. Ownership does. Your future is not waiting for the perfect version of you to arrive. It is waiting for the present version of you to stop hiding. You do not become powerful by avoiding resistance. You become powerful by walking through it. Head up. Shoulders squared. Moving forward not because you feel like it, but because it is required. Because the cost of staying stuck is too high. Because the person you are becoming deserves better. And that is the choice in front of you now. Excuse or execution. Delay or decision. Drift or dock dry. No one can choose it for you. No one can force you to act. But if you make that decision consistently, you will change. Not one day. Not eventually. Daily. You will rise. Quietly. Steadily. Honestly. So the next time the excuse shows up, do not reason with it. Replace it. Move. Do the task. Make the call. Go to the gym. Write the line. Take the walk. Start the project. Clean the space. Finish the thing. Do what is needed, not later, now. Because this is where you reclaim your life. Not with motivation. With motion. Chapter 7. From silence to strength. There is something heavy about holding back what needs to be said. A tension that lies in your chest. A fog that hangs in your thoughts. You walk through the day with a weight you cannot explain, and it is not the world that is heavy, it is your unsaid truth. Most people live like that. Not because they want to lie, but because they are afraid to speak. Afraid to shake the peace. Afraid to stir emotion. Afraid to disrupt the illusion of calm. So they stay silent. They nod when they want to say no. They agree when they want to question. They retreat when they should stand. And the longer you do that, the more your voice forgets how to speak. The more your needs feel like burdens. The more your truth feels like a threat. Until one day, you no longer know who you are underneath the pretending. That is the price of unspoken truth. It does not protect peace. It poisons it. It robs you of clarity, of freedom, of real connection. And the worst part is it teaches you to expect less. Less understanding. Less alignment. Less power. But you are not born to shrink. You are not designed to bend forever. There is a voice inside you stronger than fear, louder than waiting to be used. Not to destroy. To define. To declare. To direct. Your voice is not a weapon. It is a bridge. It is the only path to the life that fits. Because until you speak, you will always live inside someone else's version of reality. A reality built on assumptions, on silence, on distortion. And silence for too long becomes suffering. You must learn to speak. Even when your voice shakes. Especially then. Because what shakes today becomes strong tomorrow. You are not weak because you hesitate. You are learning. You are not wrong because you are afraid. You are waking up. You are not a burden because you have something to say. You are a human being with clarity locked inside you, and the only way to unlock it is to express it. Say it messy. Say it uncertain. Say it while your hands sweat and your heart races. But say it. Because expression is not about being right. It is about being real. You do not need the perfect words. You need honest ones. You do not need full control of the outcome. You need full ownership of your role in the moment. Speak with care. Speak with calm. Speak with courage. But speak. The conversation you are avoiding is already costing you. You feel it every time you think about it. You carry it into your sleep. Into your focus. Into your confidence. You tell yourself it is small, but you feel how big it is. And the only way to free yourself is to face it. Not to attack, not to accuse, but to articulate. To open the door of truth and let light in. To let your voice be the mirror that shows what you have been holding. And if the other person does not respond well, that is not your job. Your job is to be clear. To be honest. To be grounded. Your job is not to carry their discomfort for them. Your job is to make sure you are not suffocating under your own. Because peace is not silence. Peace is expression. It is when what you say, what you feel, and how you live all point in the same direction. And if you are not there yet, your voice is the key. Use it to set boundaries. Use it to say no without apology. Use it to say yes without fear. Use it to share your truth. Use it to protect your energy. Use it to ask for clarity. Use it to clear the fog. Your voice is not rude. It is responsible. It does not have to be loud. It just has to be yours. Most people wait too long to speak. They wait until they are angry. Until they are overwhelmed. Until they have rehearsed every possible response. And by then the truth is coded in frustration. But you can speak before that. You can speak early. You can speak with grace. And when you do, everything changes. Not always perfectly, but honestly. And that honesty clears space. It heals misunderstanding. It protects connection. It frees your mind. The strongest people are not the ones who stay quiet forever. They are the ones who speak when it matters. Who ask the hard questions. Who say, "This does not work for me," without guilt. Who say, "This is what I need," without fear. Who say, "This is where I stand," with calm, not anger. That is real strength. That is emotional maturity. That is leadership of your life, your relationships, your choices. Do not let another week pass in silence. Say the thing. Start the conversation. Clear the tension. Be the one who brings truth not to dominate, but to align. The world needs more people who can speak without destroying, who can express without attacking, who can be real without being reckless. Let that be you. And when you speak, when you finally say what you have been carrying, you will feel it. A shift. A lift. A return to yourself. And that return will be worth every moment of discomfort. Because nothing is more freeing than living with nothing hidden. No masks. No secrets. No quiet resentment. Just truth. Spoken. Owned. Lived. Chapter 8. From hesitation to boldness. There comes a time when you have to stop rehearsing and start becoming. A moment when thinking more is just another form of delay. You say you are waiting for clarity, for confirmation, for a little more confidence, but deep down, you know the truth. You are hesitating. Not because the step is unclear, but because the risk is real. The exposure is real. The edge is sharp. And your mind is doing what minds do, trying to protect you. But protection is not always progress. Sometimes, it is the very thing keeping you small. I know what it is like to wait at the edge. To have the opportunity in your hands and still not move. To write the message but not send it. To outline the project but not start it. To hold the idea and never speak it out loud. Not because you do not care, but because you care so much that failure feels like a betrayal. So you hide behind preparation, behind overthinking, behind the illusion that if you just wait a little longer, you will be braver. But bravery is not born in waiting. It is born in motion. The longer you hesitate, the louder your fears become. And those fears do not need to be right to be powerful. They just need your agreement. The moment you say, "Maybe later," they win. And every time they win, your courage shrinks. Not because you lost it, because you trained it not to act. Boldness is a muscle. Use it, and it grows. Avoid it, and it fades. The people you admire, the bold ones, the doers, the builders, they are not fearless. They are just practiced. They are familiar with risk. They have failed publicly and kept going. They have spoken before they felt ready. They have launched before everything was perfect. They have acted without the guarantee of applause. That is what makes them powerful. Not luck. Not genius. Boldness. And boldness does not mean recklessness. It means truth in motion. It means clarity that moves, even when it shakes. It means doing what aligns, even when it stretches. You do not need to become someone else to be bold. You need to become fully yourself and then move from that place. You need to stop waiting to be chosen. Stop waiting to be sure. Stop waiting for the right moment. Boldness does not wait. It decides. What decision are you avoiding? What move are you rehearsing in your mind but not taking in your life? That is your edge. That is your opportunity. Not the task that feels easy. The one that scares you. The one that makes your heart race. The one that holds the key to the next version of you. That is where you must go. Not someday. No. There is no growth without exposure. No progress without risk. No strength without resistance. If you want to become unshakable, you must be shaken. If you want to be fearless, you must face fear not in theory, but in action. You must take the stage. Make the call. Write the first line. Release the product. Share the truth. Whatever it is, stop circling it. Step into it. The discomfort is not danger. It is development. And yes, you might fail. You might mess it up. You might fall. But you will learn. You will grow. You will prove to yourself that you can handle more than your fear allows. And that proof will change you. It will make you bolder. Stronger. Clearer. Not because you removed fear, but because you moved with it. Your hesitation is costing you more than your failure ever could. It is stealing time, energy, opportunities, self minus respect. Every time you delay the thing you know you should do, you vote for a version of yourself that lives beneath their potential. And eventually that version becomes your identity. Unless you interrupt it. Unless you do something today that breaks the pattern. That says, no more waiting. No more shrinking. No more pretending I need more time. You do not need more time. You need more truth. You need more motion. You need more belief in your ability to figure it out as you go. Because you will. You are not fragile. You are just unpracticed in risk. But that can change. And it starts with one move. One action that says, I trust myself more than I fear failure. That is how boldness begins, not with certainty, but with self minus trust. So here is your invitation: choose boldness today. Choose the scary step. The hard conversation. The visible risk. Not because you are guaranteed success, but because you are done living in hesitation. Because your future deserves a leader, not a spectator. Because you are tired of circling the same decision, praying for more courage while burying your voice. Speak it. Do it. Begin it. Risk it. You are not reckless. You are ready. Chapter 9. From overwhelm to simplicity. There are days when life feels like too much. The tasks multiply. The noise grows. The pressure rises. And even the simplest steps start to feel impossible. You look at your 2-2 list, and instead of clarity, you feel chaos. Instead of movement, you freeze. Not because you're lazy, but because you are drowning in decisions, in responsibilities, in voices, some external, many internal. And when everything feels urgent, nothing feels clear. I have lived through those days. Days where my ambition turned against me. Where my goals became burdens. Where I planned so much I ended up doing nothing. And I told myself I needed more time, more systems, more energy. But what I needed was something else. I needed simplicity. Not more complexity. Not more optimization. Just the return to what actually mattered. Overwhelm is not always about how much you have to do. It is about how scattered you have become. When your focus is fractured, even small things feel heavy. When your energy is pulled in 10 directions, you'll forget what it feels like to move in one. The cure is not productivity. It is clarity. It is choosing fewer things and doing them with more presence. It is stepping back from the noise and asking yourself, what actually moves my life forward? The truth is, most of what overwhelms you does not need to be done. Not today. Not by you. Not at all. But you keep saying yes because it feels easier than facing the discomfort of saying no. You keep adding because pausing to subtract feels like failure. But real maturity is not about doing more. It is about doing less better. It is about unlearning the addiction to business. About realizing that motion without direction is not progress. It is exhaustion. So start here, simplify. Ruthlessly. Start with your mind. What thoughts are you repeating that serve no purpose? Let them go. Start with your space. What clutter are you tolerating that steals your peace? Clear it. Start with your time. What commitments are you keeping out of guilt, not purpose? Release them. Simplicity is not minimalism. It is alignment. It is removing what does not matter so you can give everything to what does. You will never find peace in a cluttered life. And you will never find power in a scattered mind. The power comes when your yes is sharp. When your focus is singular. When you stop trying to please everyone and start choosing who you're becoming. That choice requires courage. Because simplicity looks like sacrifice at first. You give up the illusion of being everything, everywhere. But in that space you find something far greater effectiveness. Energy. Clarity. Confidence. Imagine a day where you only focus on the 3 things that truly matter. Imagine how deep your work would go. Imagine how present you would be in your conversations. Imagine how alive you would feel not because you did everything, but because you did the right things. That life is not a fantasy. It is a decision. And it begins with a stop saying yes to what does not move you forward. You do not need a new planner. You need a new standard. A standard that says if it is not aligned with who I am becoming, it is not getting my energy. That standard simplifies everything. It clarifies your schedule. It strengthens your no. It elevates your yes. And it gives you back what you lost in the chase for more peace. You were not designed to carry everything. You were not built to handle chaos. You thrive in order. You rise in simplicity. You win when your days have direction. When your energy is not diluted by distractions. When your time is guarded like gold. Because it is. Your time is not renewable. Your focus is not infinite. Treat them accordingly. And when you simplify, when you strip away the noise, you begin to hear your real priorities again. You remember why you started. You reconnect with the work that matters. You feel the difference between being busy and being effective. And you choose differently. You wake up not to survive your schedule, but to lead it. Simplicity is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is not laziness. It is leadership. It is not doing less to get away with less. It is doing less to go deeper. And in a world that glorifies overwhelm, choosing simplicity is radical. It is powerful. It is freedom. So simplify your life. Cut the clutter. Say no to the noise. Focus on what moves the needle. Do the deep work. Protect your peace. Prioritize your path. And watch what happens when all your energy points in one direction. You will move faster. Feel lighter. Think clear. Execute better. Not because you did everything, but because you did the right things with the right energy for the right reasons. Chapter 10. From Doubt to Decision. Doubt is a shadow that follows every great idea. It arrives uninvited the moment you step toward something real. It whispers from the corners of your mind asking, "What if you are not ready? What if you are not ready?" You will call it caution when it is fear. You will call it logic when it is limitation. And you will wait. You will shrink. You will rehearse every scenario but never live any of them. I have known that paralysis. I have felt the weight of uncertainty press down until even small steps felt risky. I have watched opportunities pass by not because I was not capable, but because I was still waiting to feel sure. But life does not wait. It rewards the ones who act, not the ones who overanalyze. It opens for those who decide, even while afraid. Doubt will not leave before you move. It will not dissolve with more thinking. It will not fade because you gathered more opinions. Doubt is not a wall. It is a veil. And when you move through it, you find that it was never solid. It only felt real when you stood still. But action tears it. Decision dissolves it. Clarity begins where hesitation ends. Do not confuse doubt with danger. Feeling unsure does not mean you are unqualified. It means you are growing. It means you are stepping into unfamiliar territory. And that is exactly where you belong. Because nothing great is born in certainty. Greatness is born in motion. In the choice to move forward without a guarantee. In the refusal to wait for the fear to disappear. The people who build bold lives are not different from you. They feel doubt too. But they do not let it lead. They do not let it decide. They know that confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a result. And that result only comes to those who choose to act. Who choose to trust. Who choose to believe that the risk is not in trying. The risk is in retreating. What decision have you delayed because of doubt? What path have you questioned so many times that you stop walking it? That is where your life is stuck. Not in a lack of direction, but in a lack of commitment. Because nothing moves until you do. No plan works until you work it. No dream matters until you decide to pursue it regardless of how you feel. Stop trying to eliminate every doubt. Start acting anyway. Let your results quiet the noise. Let your discipline drown out your indecision. Let your action become the answer to every fear that says you are not enough. Because when you act, you gather evidence. You collect truth. You learn what works, and you learn what does not. And all of it moves you forward. There is no such thing as a perfect decision. There is only the one you make and make right. The one you commit to. The one you back up with effort and energy. So stop asking if it is the right time. If you feel the call, it is the time. Stop asking if you are ready. You become ready by beginning. Stop asking if it will work. You will never know until you move. Decision is freedom. It clears the fog. It focuses your energy. It anchors your mind. And most of all, it creates peace. Because the torment is not in the path. It is in the delay. The not minus knowing. The circling. The maybe. Decision ends that. It turns anxiety into action. It turns fear into fuel. It turns questions into clarity. And you do not have to decide your whole future today. Just the next step. Just the next action. Just the next move. Let that be your power. Let that be your return to momentum. You do not need a grand vision right now. You need a single commitment followed by action. So whatever you have been circling, choose. Decide. Go. Let the world respond to your movement. Let the universe adjust to your clarity. Let your doubts watch you work, watch you move, watch you build and fade into silence. You are not stuck. You are waiting to decide. And the moment you do, everything changes. Chapter 11. From pressure to purpose. Pressure can be noble. It can push you forward. Sharpen your focus. Ignite your fire. But when left unchecked, it can also bury you. Not because you are weak, but because you forgot why you started. Somewhere along the way, the weight becomes heavier than the reason. The deadline's louder than the desire. The expectation's thicker than the dream. And suddenly, what once felt like passion begins to feel like punishment. I have carried that kind of pressure. The kind that wakes you in the middle of the night with a list you have not finished. The kind that whispers, you are still behind, even when you are giving all you have. The kind that turns your vision into a burden. I used to think that was the cost of ambition. That stress was the price of growth. But then I learned something that changed everything. Pressure without purpose is poison. It is not the work that breaks you. It is working disconnected from meaning. It is running so fast that you forget where you are going. It is achieving with no joy. It is progress that feels hollow. And it is more common than we think. Because we live in a world that worships hustle, but rarely asks why. That rewards output, but never questions the motive. That tells you to go harder, but not always deeper. But you are not here just to achieve. You are here to become. And becoming requires purpose. It requires presence. It requires a connection between your effort and your essence. Without that, you burn out. You disconnect. You start chasing metrics instead of meaning. And the irony is you can win by the world's standards and still feel empty inside. So pause. Breathe. And ask yourself, why am I doing this? Whose voice am I following? Whose expectation am I carrying? Am I building a life I respect or just one that looks impressive? Because if your answer is rooted in fear, in shame, in proving something, you will always feel behind. But if your answer is love, alignment, contribution, you will find energy you did not know you had. Purpose does not remove the pressure. It reshapes it. It turns it from a weight into a reason. From a demand into a direction. From a burden into a beacon. When you remember your why, you remember your power. You stop chasing everything. You start moving with precision. You stop trying to be everything for everyone. You start being fully who you are. And you do not need a grand purpose to begin. Start with what is real. You want to build a life with integrity? That is purpose. You want to show up for your family with presence? That is purpose. You want to become someone you are proud of when no one is watching? That is purpose. Purpose is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, sacred. Reconnect with it. Reclaim it. Write it down. Speak it out. Let it guide your choices. Let it become the filter for your yes and your no. Let it lead your schedule. Let it shape your energy. Because when your actions are connected to your values, you feel stronger even in difficulty. You carry weight, but it feels lighter. Because it belongs to you. It serves you. Do not let the pressure shape you into someone you are not. Let it shape you into someone more focused, more grounded, more honest. Let it refine your standards. Let it teach you what matters most. Let it burn away the noise, the fake urgency, the people-minded pleasing. Let it leave only what is real. And if you have lost that sense of purpose, do not panic. Return to what you know. Return to what makes you feel alive. Return to what you said mattered before the world tried to drown it out. Purpose is not found in a book or a quote. It is remembered in silence, in stillness, in the parts of you that know what you are here for, even when you forget. When you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this pressure serving me or suffocating me? If it is serving you, honor it. Use it. Let it push you. But if it is suffocating you, step back. Rethink. Realign. Because life is too short to chase numbers and miss meaning. Too sacred to build success and lose your soul. You get one life. One shot. Do not waste it trying to meet invisible standards. Do not spend it running toward applause that cannot fill you. Do not give your days to pressure that steals your presence. Let purpose lead. Let it bring you back. Let it shape how you work, how you rest, how you rise. And when purpose leads, everything else finds its place. You still move, but with direction. You still push, but with joy. You still grow, but with grace. And that, more than anything, is what makes the journey worth it. Chapter 12. From Discipline to Identity. Discipline is not the end goal. It is the doorway. The entry point. The sharp tool that carves the shape of your future. But beyond the habit, beyond the routine, beyond the grind, something deeper is being built. You do not wake up early just to check a box. You do not train your mind just to stay busy. You do not keep your promises just to please your calendar. You do it because every act of discipline writes a new story. Not of what you do, of who you are. I used to chase discipline like a badge. If I could rise before the sun, I was winning. If I could go longer, harder, faster, I was worthy. But even when I kept the routine, something still felt off. I was improving, but I was not becoming. Because I had missed the core. Discipline is not about domination. It is about alignment. It is not about control. It is about truth. You are not training to impress the world. You are training to meet yourself again, and again until who you are and how you live are the same. That is the real power of discipline. Not to turn you into a machine, but to free you from chaos. To let your life speak a single language. to make your actions echo your values, to bring your words and your walk into the same rhythm. That is what gives you peace, not just doing the work, but becoming someone you respect while doing it. Because here is the truth: habits without identity will always fade. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, someone who tries, someone who is working on it, then even your best days will feel fragile. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who honors their time, someone who takes their life seriously, then even on the hard days you move. You act. You do not have to hype yourself up. You just return to who you are. Identity is not fixed. It is trained. It is shaped every time you rise when it is hard. Every time you finish what you started. Every time you choose alignment over escape. You are telling yourself, this is who I am. And if you say it enough, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you start to live it. And when you live it, you start to transform not just your habits, but your entire reality. Think about it: every decision you make today is casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Not the kind of day you are having. The kind of life you are building. Every skipped workout, every snoozed alarm, every broken promise, each one whispers to your mind, this is normal. But so does every completed task, every brave conversation, every early morning you did not want but chose anyway. Those moments matter. Not because they are perfect, but because they are part of your becoming. You do not need more discipline. You need more identity. Because when the identity is clear, the discipline is automatic. It is no longer I have to. It becomes this is just what I do. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop convincing yourself. You simply show up because that is who you are. That is freedom. That is strength. That is how you get better, not just more productive, but more powerful, more precise, more real. So who are you becoming? Be honest. Do your actions match that person? If not, you do not need shame. You need alignment. You need a return. You need to ask, what would the strongest version of me do right now? And then do that. Not because you feel like it. Because you have decided that version of you is no longer a vision. It is a standard. A default. A lifestyle. When discipline becomes identity, the need for motivation disappears. You stop waiting to feel like it. You stop checking how tired you are. You stop tracking whether the mood is right. You act. You execute. You lead yourself. Because you have a name now. A code. A clarity that you will not betray. And this identity, it is built in the boring moments. The quiet ones. The lonely ones. When no one is cheering. When no one is watching. When it would be so easy to compromise. But you do not. You finish. You close the loop. You rise. And you do it again. And again. And again. Not for applause. For peace. For integrity. For that quiet pride that only comes when your walk matches your word. Let discipline be your foundation. But let identity be your future. Decide who you are. Train like it. Speak like it. Live like it. Let every small act be a reflection of a big truth that you are no longer practicing greatness, you are becoming it. Mindset reset from knowing to becoming. By now, you know more. You have felt the weight of delay. The sting of regret. The fire of clarity. The call to act. You have walked with discipline, confronted your clutter, pierced through hesitation, stared down your excuses. But knowledge alone is not transformation. It is fuel, but only if you burn it. Only if you apply it. Only if you stop reading and start living. This is your moment of truth. A crossroads between inspiration and implementation. Between hearing and honoring. Between admiring and embodying. You do not need another reminder. You need a reset, a decision to stop entertaining the version of yourself that only studies growth and begin stepping into the one who executes it. That means asking hard questions. Answering with your life, not your words. What do you truly stand for? Not in theory, in your habits. In your calendar. In your conversations. Where is your time going? What do you allow to distract you, to drain you, to delay you? What standard have you tolerated that you know must end? What cycle have you repeated that needs breaking, not someday, but today? The strongest people are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who stop negotiating with their weaknesses. They do not wait for permission. They do not need ideal conditions. They act in the rain. They act when tired. They act in doubt. Because they have drawn a line. Not on paper, within themselves. A decision to never again be rolled by the lesser version of who they could be. You need that line. You need a moment that says, from here on out, this is who I am, not perfectly, but consistently. Not to impress, but to align. To live with clarity. To rise with discipline. To rest with peace. And that only comes when you define your standards and refuse to betray them. So, what are your standards? Not your goals, your standards. The non-negotiable less. The new minimums. The things you do not debate anymore. Wake times. Health routines. Truth minus telling. Integrity. Boundaries. The way you treat yourself. The way you show up for others. The way you talk when no one is listening. These are the markers of real transformation. Not what you post. What you do. Repeatedly. Relentlessly. Quietly. If your current standards do not align with who you say you are becoming, then you must upgrade them. Immediately. Not all at once. But without delay. Do not confuse difficulty with impossibility. The life you want is not behind a wall. It is behind your unwillingness to let go of what is no longer working. You are not waiting on opportunity. Opportunity is waiting on your seriousness. Take inventory today. Of your habits. Your beliefs. Your inner conversations. Notice the cracks. And fix them. Without guilt. Without drama. With focus. With humility. With commitment. You do not fix a weak mindset by shaming it. You fix it by replacing it. Thought by thought. Action by action. Moment by moment. And here is the truth no one wants to say out loud: most people will never do this work. They will read the book. Listen to the podcast. Highlight the quotes. But they will not change their standards. Because it requires letting go of comfort. Of identity. Of the story they have told themselves. And that feels like loss. But it is not. It is rebirth. It is the return to who you were always meant to be. You are not here to know more. You are here to become more. You are not here to chase clarity forever. You are here to create clarity through action. You are not here to manage your time. You are here to honor your life. You are not here to avoid failure. You are here to build a spirit that moves anyway. So write your new standard. Speak it. Live it. Not to be impressive. To be honest. Not to be flawless. To be free. Because real freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is living in alignment with what you value most even when it is hard. You have everything you need. You always have. You are not missing discipline. You are missing decision. You are not missing clarity. You are missing courage. And both are built not by thinking, but by choosing. Today. Now. Draw the line. Raise the standard. Begin again not from scratch, but from strength. The final call from reading to rising. This is where the book ends, but your real work begins. Not in theory. In your mornings. In your choices. In the silence of your discipline. In the moments when no one else is watching and the only voice that matters is your own. You have read the words. You have nodded your head. You have felt the truth press against your chest. But now, the question echoes, will you move? Not later. No. Because the life you want is not waiting at the end of some distant motivation. It is waiting at the next honest step. The next small act of alignment. The next decision to rise instead of rationalize. And that decision over and over is what transforms you. Not in waves of emotion. In quiet obedience to your own standard. That is what separates those who shift from those who stay the same, not their vision, but their consistency. You have felt the weight of potential. The sting of delay. The quiet guilt of knowing you were capable of more but settling for less. That guilt was never meant to punish you. It was meant to awaken you. To remind you that your life is sacred. That your days are limited. That your habits are the altar where your future is being built moment by moment, choice by choice. And you do not need to become perfect. You need to become serious. You need to walk with the dignity of someone who refuses to abandon themselves. Someone who no longer runs to comfort when conviction gets heavy. Someone who shows up tired. Shows up late. Shows up unsure but shows up. That is how you win. Not in noise. In quiet returns. In daily resurrection. In being the kind of person your past self was once praying to become. Look in the mirror. Not with judgment, with responsibility. Say to yourself, I am done negotiating with my weakness. I am done waiting for signs. I am done hoping I will feel ready. I am moving because I must. Because I am worth it. Because my future is too important to wait for perfect conditions. The world does not need another person with potential. It needs more people with follow minus through. More people who finish. Who execute. Who embody their truth instead of just talking about it. You do not need louder intentions. You need clearer habits. You need to live in a way that says this matters. That says, I will not quit on myself again. Because every time you act, even when it is small, you vote for the version of yourself that refuses to settle. You build trust. You build traction. You build a story you are proud to live inside of. And that story is not written in one grand chapter. It is written in the grind, in the silence, in the 10,000 invisible choices no one claps for. So, this is the call. Not to be inspired, but to be activated. Not to be emotional, but to be relentless. To let your life prove what you believe. To let your routine speak louder than your words. To let your days declare that you are no longer waiting for a better life, you are becoming it. Wake up and walk forward. With or without motivation. With or without applause. With or without perfect clarity. Just walk. Because the path only reveals itself to the one who moves. And you are not here to drift. You are here to drive. To decide. To design a life so aligned, so honest, so deeply rooted in truth that no circumstance can shake it. Do not let this book become another thing you finish but never follow. Let it be your mirror. Let it be your fire. Let it be the moment you stopped hoping for change and started living it. One day. One task. One decision at a time. This is your life. No more delay. No more debate. Begin.